This video is a demonstration of a new plugin called Database Part Selector. Database Part Selector allows you to integrate Microsoft SQL Server to a list of parts via CSV. Once the data from a CSV is loaded into the plugin, it allows the user to do takeoffs, edit quantity formulas, add or create assemblies via drag and drop, and update pre-existing takeoffs. The first thing the user will need to do is download Microsoft SQL Server Express 2012 from Microsoft's website. Once the installation is complete, they can then install Database Part Selector. Once Database Part Selector is installed, it will appear in the Home tab. Let's go ahead and open Database Part Selector. The first thing that happens is the settings form will pop open. It will look for server information on your local machine. If your local machine has server information, it will be loaded into this combo box in a drop-down menu. Let's go ahead and choose this. Once you have a server selected, the next step is either creating a new database or selecting a pre-existing one. For this demonstration, we're going to create a new database. Let's go ahead and test the connection. It tells us connection is successful. Let's go ahead and check in Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio if the database was actually created. I created a database called Test05, and Test05 is now here in SQL Server Management Studio. There are no tables present. That's because we haven't imported the data yet. Let's go back to the settings form and import the data. Step 4, as you can see here, is a select CSV file. You can do this by hitting browse. Now I'm going to browse to a location on my computer where I have test CSVs already set up. There's a folder with test CSVs in it. Now I'm going to select the one that has assemblies present with the parts. You can go ahead and hit import, or you can back up the data prior to the import. So now you can see Database Part Selector restarts, and here's the tables from the data that I have imported. One thing to state the obvious is that PlanSwift must be open in the background to do anything with the takeoffs. Let's go ahead and do a basic takeoff. The Properties window in PlanSwift then pops up, and all the properties from Database Part Selector are transferred to that item in PlanSwift. And there you have it. Here's the item, and now it has its properties attached to it. It's got a name, description, the same quantity formula, so on and so forth. There's other properties down below, category, subcategory, the store, so on and so forth. Next thing I want to show you is that if you do a takeoff and it was the wrong item or you messed up, but the actual digitization or the takeoff itself is correct, what you can do is go ahead and select that item in PlanSwift, come back into Database Part Selector, right click on the grid and change that item. Update selected item will change all the properties from this item to the one that you have selected in PlanSwift. You can go ahead and change the item type by using these buttons below. This will change the item type. Next thing I'm going to show you is the filtering mechanisms. You have both a search grid, search bar up here at the top, as well as categories on the right hand side. These categories are based on the data in the CSV file. Let's go ahead and apply a search. Now I just typed in 37 here, and it'll look through all of the columns or fields in this database, and it'll search for anything that has a 37 in it. So right now these are the results that you're seeing of that. You can apply search filters like so and it'll search for only this specific filter or category that you chose. Now I'm going to show you how to hide the columns. And you can see the 3 that I unchecked are no longer there. Now let's check them. Now they appear again. You can also turn the category filter on and off. By unchecking this, now it'll show all items not based on the category. All items in the table named ProBuild are now showing in the grid. Let's go ahead and go into the Assemblies tab now. Now assemblies are based on a different system. If the item type is number 6 from the CSV file, it'll convert whatever item that is into an assembly. You can see here, stock building supply assemblies table. So the store name is still stock building supply, but now assemblies is appended to the end of the store name. Let's go ahead and stretch this out. Okay, you can see here, here's an assembly. Now, the assembly parent has several children, as you can see. Children are always going to be parts. You can change the item type, or the quantity formula, so to speak, but it'll still stay a part when you digitize. Let's go ahead and do it. The same thing as before. Now the part opens as a properties window. Go ahead and continue. Let's record that. See with the assembly, now the parts are actually attached to it. If we go to the takeoff summary of this item, you see now these parts are attached to it. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create a new assembly. Go ahead and hit this button down here on the ribbon bar. It's called New Assembly. First thing you need to do is enter the store that it's belonging to. Say it's belonging to the same stock building supply. And you can go ahead and set the units, the category. You can either select one from this drop down or you can enter your own. Let's go ahead and enter our own. And you can go ahead and enter everything else in. Okay, let's go ahead and press save and close. And there it is. It now appears in the filter. Let's go ahead into the assembly builder and add some parts to this assembly. To add a part to an assembly, all you need to do is drag the parts from the right hand side into the left. Let's drag a few here. You can see now that the parts are attached to this. You can also do things like create new assembly from this form, or go ahead and delete things that don't belong. I can show you the delete function here. That permanently removes that specific note that I had just deleted. Now let's go ahead and close this. And now you can see the parts that were attached to it. Let's go ahead and refresh this. And there you have it. Now we have an assembly with those parts attached. There's also other things you can do, like update the quantity formula to a specific item. Let's go back to the Parts tab now. Now in the Parts tab, let's select this item here. Now if you look here, the ID of this is a unique ID relative to the database, the ID 12, so this is unique to that item. Let's go ahead and change the quantity formula via this drop down. Now this drop down, whatever you select in here, will append to the end of the quantity formula. So if I want to do the point count times the area, I would do it just like that. Now if I go ahead and hit update, and I go to a SQL query where this item exists, now I open SQL Server Management Studio. And when I'm in SQL Server Management Studio, this is the select statement that I want to use to get that item. Select all from the database stock building supply where the ID equals 12, and this will return that item that I had updated. You can see here that the formula has in fact updated from a point count to a point count times area. And the last feature that I want to show you in DBPartsSelector is this function editor. So the function that appended here, when I hit area from the drop down, you can actually edit these functions in the order that they are in. So open this FFX editor by clicking this button right here. Once I click this button, I can move this list either up or down, and this changes the order they appear in the combo box when you hit the drop down arrow. You can also add new nodes. So let's go ahead and save that. Now if I go to this drop down, now I can append sample to the end of this function. And I can do it the same way just by hitting update. And then you can see that it's changing by going to your SQL Server Management Studio and doing a query on that item. Thanks for watching the video. Hope it helped.